Um, it's truly an honor to be here tonight with all of you. When I was first invited by Brandon, he told me I would be speaking in front of a room full of ISSN educators. I thought, no pressure. In all seriousness, though, I honestly don't know a better group to be speaking in front of than you. You're an innovative group within an imperative profession. Now, I haven't come here like the two previous speakers to give us solutions to a broken system. Instead, I'd like to do something different. I want to give you a glimpse into my last 3 years at an ISSN school. My perspective is limited to my time, to my time in the classroom, to my interactions with the teachers. But I think it tells a larger story of my school and the larger story of the network. First, some background on my high school. It's called the Ambassador School of Global Leadership. It's located in the heart of Koreatown, just a couple miles west of downtown Los Angeles. Like in much of inner city public education, the students here come from a highly diverse immigrant community. Less than a third of the students are English language proficient. For most, English is their second language. It was my second language, and almost all of the students live under the federal poverty line. In fact, education aside, the case is easily made that students here have been largely disadvantaged. Many students will inevitably face larger issues, larger systemic issues that will present barriers to higher education. The school-to-prison pipeline, deep poverty, less access to a safe learning environment, and the list goes on. So when ASGL opened up 3 years ago under the ISSN network, the challenge quickly became evident. The question wasn't going to be how can we give travel and global opportunities to the top 10% of students. The question was how can we instill a love of learning and understanding to the other students, to the 90% of students who perhaps don't know exactly what their purpose is in school yet. So that's really the challenge at ASGL. The 10% would do well regardless of what opportunities we give them, but the rest of the students, that's where global education can have the biggest impact. So this is what I learned in my couple years at ASGL. So engaging my peers at ASGL meant engaging students that hadn't signed up for a global education. There was no application, no lottery, no glossy brochures. But at a school like ASGL, global education has the potential to do two things. One is that it helps students like me from an underserved community realize that barriers to a higher education do not define us. If analyzed from a critical perspective, these barriers are actually great opportunities to find purpose, and purposes should be the core philosophy of teaching. So we have these certain perspectives that students from other public or private schools do not have, and in that sense, we're sort of privileged. Secondly, a global education takes students, has them take another step back, a leap back. It tells students, look, you are in a community that faces these larger issues, but take a look at communities around the world. What are larger issues? What are global issues that have brought you to where you are today, and your family and anybody you've come across? What kind of interactions have led to your standing now at an ISSN school? What about places that don't have these socioeconomic safety nets? What kind of lifestyles do they lead? And how do we make sense of these larger systems? Being globally competent makes one aware of who you are in the scope of 7 billion people. It's a state of mind that goes beyond superficial facts. Yes, being globally competent will give you an advantage and greater opportunities in a globalized workforce. And yes, it will help you navigate a diverse world. But being globally competent also has the ability to achieve a greater goal. It's going to make better students, but it's also going to make better human beings. It builds a culture of empathy. A global education shows students both the beauty and ugliness of this world. And most importantly, it gives them an opportunity to engage it head-on. and discover how they can have an impact in this world. The truth is, up until a couple months before the end of my junior year, most days at ASGL felt just like a regular public school. Classroom sizes were off the chart, staff turnovers were disheartening, and the eerie feeling of indifference was amongst staff and students. However, within the last year or so, this mindset of global education has slowly taken form at ASGL. We can point to test scores and graduation rates, both of which have been amazing, but we can also point out to this feeling of being in the classroom. I know some of you have had the opportunity to visit the classroom, and Brandon has visited a couple times, and I can honestly say that there's a different culture now at ASGL, and much of that is due in part because of what the philosophy of the International Study Schools Network has given us. Administration and teachers still face hurdles every single day, but that's because as a result of being in a public school system, but the ISSN aspect of ASGL is alive and well. So let's take a minute to celebrate these achievements. However, we must realize that the job goes on. I am of the school of thought, like the president of Asia Society, Joseph, that truly believes every student has the desire to succeed. For all those students that ASGL has helped along the way in its last 3 years, countless still fell through the cracks, and even more will struggle for the rest of their public schooling. If we can help that many students achieve a global education and help that many students not fall through the cracks, then your struggles will continue to be validated. Lastly, I want to take this opportunity to thank the countless educators, some of who are in this room and in these tables, that have crossed my path in my 18 years of existence. I've learned and keep learning from them more than each of them can imagine. Your behaviors and characteristics are exemplary, and I'm sure more students can see that. Most importantly, I'd like to thank you, the countless educators that have come here tonight. I'd like to thank you for everything you've done in the network and in and outside of the classroom. There's something to be said about a profession that rarely gets to see the fruits of its labor. Students come into your lives and leave in a couple of months, and sometimes without so much as a thank you. You pack up your classroom and head off wondering about the prospects of next year. And next year's district policies, next year's enrollment numbers, next year's budgets, next year's curriculum. Sometimes some of you may even begin to think if it's even worth it. I hope my presence tonight on behalf of students from across the network and students across the country serves as evidence that it's very much worth it. Yes, it is. My time as a high school student is over, but my time with education is just beginning. My goal is to continue working in the nonprofit sector in developing nations and in improving education and giving, like Joseph said, the same access I have been privileged to with students who suffer even greater challenges. I wish I can tell you for a fact where I'll be in the next 5-10 years from now, but the truth is, like most of your students, I'm still figuring things out. Regardless of where I'm headed to, I feel quietly assured that I've been exposed to a level of global thinking that will help me tackle some of the world's toughest challenges. And it's all thanks to educators like you. Thank you.